Hey guys, what's up? This is Darklock here, and welcome to another collection video. This time I'm going to be doing my PlayStation 4 collection, at least physically. I have a lot more games digitally, but that's mostly because of circumstances like sales and getting free games off the PlayStation Store because of PS Plus. But physically, I have a total of 37 games, which isn't a whole ton, as far as collecting them goes, but I've got a pretty good selection of games here. Most of them by my own hand, considering the PlayStation 4 came out several years ago, like after I had just graduated high school, or just before that. And since then, this has been my biggest console for my adult life. But it's a great system. I absolutely love this thing. Not quite as much as the PS2, which is my favorite console, but it is an amazing system, a lot of great games for it, and some really cool features too, so yeah. Anyways, let's get started. The first game I have is Dragon Ball FighterZ. Really good fighting game, probably the best Dragon Ball game to come out in quite some time since Tenkaichi 3. I know a lot of people are going to say Budokai 3 was the last good one to come out, but in my personal opinion, I found the Tenkaichi games to be a ton of fun. And some of the later ones were good too. I mean, I liked Raging Blast 2. I thought that was pretty fun. I enjoyed Xenoverse 1 and 2. Those were pretty good, but they really weren't amazing compared to the Tenkaichi games. But this one is the first Dragon Ball Z game to come out in quite some time that I actually found really amazing, and I know a lot of people would agree with me. But it's just a fantastic game. Plays a lot like the Guilty Gear games, especially considering it's developed by the same guys who did the Guilty Gear and BlazBlue series, Arc System Works, and it's so much fun. A really good 3D fighter, and a really good Dragon Ball Z game to boot. Excellent stuff. Ghostbusters, the video game, remastered, which, as you can see by the remastered, it is based off the, it is a remaster of the original game on PlayStation 3 and 360. And it is exactly that. It is pretty much a remaster. Not a whole lot has changed here. It just looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit better. That's really all there is to it. There's not a whole lot of DLC updates and stuff, but it's still a great game. I really enjoyed this. I played the PS3 version a lot years ago, and I loved it. I thought it was the best damn Ghostbusters game to ever come out, and that has not been touched because the Ghostbusters games since have not really been all that good, especially the one that was supposed to be based off the 2016 movie, but it didn't turn out so good. At least the game wasn't good. I've never seen the movie. But it is really cool to see that this one brought back, but it is cool to see that this one brought back the old Ghostbusters. At least this was before Harold Ramis passed away. Rest in peace. I think they all did a really good job here, providing their voices, which is great. Some would even say this is basically Ghostbusters 3, and I believe it. I can totally understand why people would come to that conclusion, because I see it too. It is pretty much a Ghostbusters 3, considering the content, and now that Ramis is gone, there might not ever be an actual Ghostbusters 3. But I loved the original Ghostbusters movies. They were fantastic, and the game, this one is easily the best one for a lot of reasons. For one, the original Ghostbusters are all here, especially Winston, who was not in the previous Ghostbusters video games on NES, Genesis, or any of that, which is weird because he was a part of the team. But I guess probably because he only came to the team like much later in the movie, but he was still a part of the team nonetheless. But it is good they got Winston back in there, so I'm happy with that. And all the voice talents are here, which is great, and you don't get to play as the others, sadly, but the good thing is, you are a new Ghostbuster on the team, but they actually do interact with you, and it actually flows pretty seamlessly. It's quite good. The gameplay is a lot of fun. It is a third-person shooter kind of game, sort of, except instead of using guns, you're using your proton packs, and it is a lot of fun. Although I found trapping ghosts can be a real pain in the ass at times, but still had a ton of fun with it. It's just a very fun, very funny action shooter game. Just really good. Even though the remaster is not really anything that special, I am at least happy to have the game, even if it is the remastered version, which doesn't really add a whole lot to it, but hey, it's Ghostbusters, a video game. I loved it, and I'm glad to have it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I got this as a birthday gift, because I wanted this one so bad after hearing about it in trailers. I was really excited for it, and boy was I right to get excited for this, because this is the best Tony Hawk game to come out in a long time, since American Wasteland for me. I felt that American Wasteland was the last great one, although someone disagreed with me on that, and that's fine, but I thought American Wasteland was fantastic, even though it did have a few problems, and like it definitely focused way too much on destruction as opposed to skating, which is a bummer, but I still enjoyed it. But Pro Skater 1 and 2 is phenomenal. This is one of the best games I've ever played in the series, and it's a new one. And it actually plays really well. Like, the controls are exactly how I remember the Tony Hawk games, so I was able to jump almost immediately into it, which is great. It looks amazing. Like, this feels more like a remake than a remaster, because the game just looks phenomenal, and they also brought in functions from the later games too, so I'm really glad they did that. And they also got rid of that fucking slam mechanic from Pro Skater 5, which was really useless in my opinion. I didn't care for that. But seriously though, this game is amazing, and not only that, the soundtrack is intact as well. Almost all the songs from Pro Skater 1 and 2 are here. There are a couple that were not there because of licensing issues, but almost every song from Pro Skater 1 and 2 is here, which is great, and it's more than enough for me, and especially since they got Papa Roach, Rage Against the Machine, Anthrax and Public Enemy, Suicidal Tendencies, and a bunch of of the old bands here, and even brought in Superman by Goldfinger, which is the title screen theme. That was really cool they got that, and they also added a lot of new songs to the mix as well, which I actually enjoyed, surprisingly. I didn't expect to like the new songs that much, except for maybe a couple like Billy Talent and the Ataris. But surprisingly, the vast majority of the songs here, I actually found myself really enjoying, especially with songs like Bass by Mercules, Flamingo by Token, All Souls Day by the Ataris, Afraid of Heights by Billy Talent, Shutdown by Skepta, holy shit, Bomb Drop by Less Than Jake, She's Famous Now by Real Big Fish, Same in the End by Sublime. Just a lot of great tracks here. There were a couple of tracks I didn't really care about. I didn't really like the song Let's Do It by All Talk or Something to Say by Cherry Cola. I just found these songs to be kind of lackluster, repetitive, like bland, boring songs, but I actually found most of it to be pretty solid, so yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the better Tony Hawk games for sure, and I'm really glad to see the series is finally back on its feet after Robomoto grossly mishandled the series for several years. South Park: The Stick of Truth. I used to really hate the show when I was younger, but as I got older, I started to understand the humor more, and now I actually like the show. I don't love it, but I can definitely enjoy a good episode or two. So what I think about this game? Honestly, I think this game is really damn good. One of the best South Park games by a long shot. Like, this one completely trounces the older South Park games that came before it. It's really good. It is an RPG. It's really short for an RPG, but it doesn't really have to be long considering this is a South Park game, and it's not necessarily meant to be a long epic adventure, just to be a very comedic, hilarious kind of game. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And although the game is, like, pretty easy, especially considering for an RPG, I still really enjoyed it. There was a lot of jokes that made me laugh my ass off. Some of them were kind of cringe-inducing, but most of it, absolutely hilarious. And it is great to see a lot of the humor from Matt and Trey in there as well. It's just so good. And even the animation is exactly like you'd see in the show, which is awesome. Next, I have Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator, which is a great fighting game. I've played the shit out of this one. Probably my favorite Guilty Gear game next to Accent Core, which is also amazing. But this is just a fantastic fighting game. Great 3D animation. I actually mistook it for a 2D game at first because the animations looks so amazing, like anime, like a full blown like it looks like full blown 3-dimensional anime quality, which I thought was really cool. It kind of reminded me of the show Knights of Sidonia, which I thought was a really solid, underrated anime with 3D imagery, but still got that style. But it's just really good. The animations are amazing, even for 2016. Every character moves fluidly. It plays. The game plays really well. The music is just as good as it ever was. I mean, it's Guilty Gear. How bad could it be? I mean, Guilty Gear, for the most part, has always had really good music. I think the only game I can remember from Guilty Gear that actually didn't have such great music was the Game Boy Advance version of Guilty Gear X, which I thought the music on there was just horribly butchered. But most of the Guilty Gear games have fantastic music, and this one is no exception. It is just phenomenal. I actually used the insta kill theme as my end credits crawl on my Mortal Kombat 4 review on the Game Boy Color, because I honestly think that is just a phenomenal theme. And honestly, most of the music is great anyways, and a lot of great characters are here. There are a couple that are sadly not playable, like Dizzy. At least I don't think. At least not in this one. Maybe in Rev 2, I don't know. But a lot of great characters and some new characters too, which is just some cool stuff. There's a lot I could talk about with this game, but I think I'll save that for a review. If I get around to it, because I'm honestly not sure. Mass Effect Andromeda. A lot of people really hated this game, and I kind of get why, but I honestly didn't think it was bad. I thought it was okay. Not a great game, but not terrible. Definitely the worst entry in the series, but not even a bad game by a long shot. Sword Art Online Hollow Realization. I love the anime, but this game is it's just okay. It's not great. The graphics are really good. It's a very pretty game. The combat's fine. I like it. My biggest problem with the game, though, is the character creation. Because it doesn't matter how you customize your character, you're always going to be Kirito no matter what, and I thought that was just really stupid and lame. They just took a really lazy turn with that. I heard they fixed that a bit in Fatal Bullet, but Kirito is basically a freaking attention hog. I don't know yet, because I have not played Fatal Bullet, but hopefully I'll get that one sometime. But this is not a bad game. I enjoyed it to some extent, but this is nothing compared to the anime. I know a lot of people hate the anime, but I love it. I don't care. Monster Hunter World. This game is awesome. I actually fell out of the Monster Hunter series for quite a while after Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out. I just kind of gave up because I didn't really care for the combat. I thought it was just really heavy and frustrating to utilize. I also felt that the game was really cryptic on how you were supposed to play it, on what you were supposed to do, and I always kept getting frustrated no matter what I did, and it just was not for me. However, when I got Monster Hunter World, though, it actually felt so much better to play. The weapon system was really good. There's a lot of variety this time around. The combat's a lot more fluid and fast-paced. I mean, it is still a methodical game, so you do have to approach it with caution. However, it is a little bit more user-friendly, which I thought was a huge godsend, considering the older games were far from it. But this one actually made me a fan of the series again, and because of it, I actually really like this. I actually really like it now. I love this game. It's so much fun. The worlds are all connected together instead of being like a loading screen after you step into another part of the world. And it's just great. Not only that, but the big monster battles, they're hard, but they're a ton of fun. It's so good. There's really not a lot bad I can say about it, honestly. Except maybe the voice acting's... Not the voice acting itself, because it's actually pretty solid for a Monster Hunter game, considering Monster Hunter never really had full voice acting before. But I think the biggest problem I have with the acting is that they didn't really bother to sync the characters' voices to their mouths. It looks a little jank in that regard, kind of like how a lot of kung fu movies from the 70s and 80s, dubbed over the voices, but they didn't really match it up to their lips. So it's a little weird, but it's not really anything too grating. I found it funny more than anything, but even so, it's just a fun game. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I spent $40 on this thing. Resident Evil 4. You know, I actually never got to finish this game before, mostly because every copy I had just kept getting busted up. But then I got this version, and I actually sat down and played through it, and it's amazing. I absolutely love this game, and I'm glad I played through it, because I know this is a very cliche thing, considering how popular this game is, but there's a reason why it is so popular. It's just a fantastic game. I love it. It's extremely fun to play. It's got a good mix of scares and action. Horror and action anyways. The boss fights are challenging, but they're not excessively difficult to the point of unfair. It's a lot of fun to play. There are a few times when it can get a bit annoying, like especially in the later half of the game where you go into that monastery with all these ganados coming at you. I think that's what they're called. And they're just like speaking out these chants or something like that, and it gets a little annoying after a while, considering they always constantly say it at the same fucking times, and it's a little annoying, but I still had a lot of fun with it, and while there were a couple of bosses I didn't really care about, for the most part I did find most of it fun. And the voice acting, it's not perfect, but it is pretty solid, and it did make me laugh on more than one occasion. It's definitely a nod to cheesy 80s B-horror, so I think that's where it really shines, is when it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also knows when to take itself seriously. I think that game was just a perfect balance of that, and even though it is an older game that's been ported to death, I'm glad I played through it, even on PS4, and I'm glad I finished it. It's just a fun game overall. Devil May Cry 5. I actually just recently purchased this, but I've played it before and I've beaten it. It's a very good game, one of my favorite games on the PS4. I absolutely love this game. Probably my favorite entry in the DMC series by a wide margin. I mean, DMC 3 and 4 were excellent games, but 5 really takes the cake for me. I love the combat. I love the various characters you can play as. You can only play as V, Dante, and Nero, but they're all really fun. They're all really good characters to play as, although I'm not really the biggest fan of V, to be honest, because I found that you can just easily cheese through V sections just by spamming the attack buttons, and I know you don't have to do that, but that was the easiest way to get through them, and I did find the passiveness to get a little stale after a while. I much prefer Dante and Nero's playstyles, but V's playstyle's not bad. It is an interesting playstyle for sure, but I did get a little bored of it after a while, after realizing I could just cheese my way through it with him, so it kind of made things a little too easy. But other than that, I had a lot of fun playing this. The music is great, the graphics are absolutely breathtaking, the combat is fantastic, and the dialogue, it's DMC. You can't get any better than that. It's just hilarious dialogue mixed with some seriousness here and there. It's great stuff. Definitely the best DMC for me. Borderlands: The Handsome Collection, which contains Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. I absolutely love Borderlands 2. I would say it's my favorite entry in the series, especially considering its story is probably the strongest it's ever been. The pre-sequel, on the other hand, however, it's okay, but my biggest problem is that it's really frustrating, and the story is not that engaging. It's not terrible, it's just really nothing special. My biggest problem with the gameplay is that I find it frustrating compared to Borderlands 2 or 3, because whereas I normally would die at least maybe 2 or 3 times in those games, in the pre-sequel, even when I'm at my best, I still get my ass kicked more than I normally would, and that's kind of unfair because I'm typically not a bad Borderlands player. I would consider myself pretty decent, but this really I really did not feel like best was even good enough in pre-sequel. It just felt really clumsy, and it also has a lot of major difficulty spikes, especially in the beginning of the game when you fight Deadlift, who is extremely frustrating to beat. And not only does he hit like a truck, but he takes way too fucking long to kill, and it really bothered me. I mean, it's one thing for an enemy to be difficult, but this early on in the game, that's really pushing it. Wasn't a big fan of that. And not only that, the game just throws so much shit at you compared to 2 and 3. And while 2 and 3 are not easy games at all, I still found them fun, but the pre-sequel just wasn't fun for the most part. I mean, it wasn't bad, but that was the problem. It was just really the frustratingness of it all just made it kind of unfun. And I know I'm not really bringing up a lot of great points here, except for the deadlift fight, but truly I didn't really have a lot of incentive to play it because, well, it was just too much. I mean, normally I can deal with a difficult game, but that's the kind of difficulty I don't really care about, where the difficulty is just so frustrating it kind of kills it kind of just kills your motivation to even go any further. Overwatch. Now, a lot of people don't... Now, some people, like, say that they really hate this, but they just come back to it anyway after that. I'm not gonna lie there. I actually love this game. And yeah, the community is very toxic, I get that, but honestly, though, I could easily just ignore it, and I just play fine by myself without too many other people telling me, or at least with the communication signals in mind. But anyways, I freaking love this game. I don't care what anyone says. I absolutely enjoyed my time with this. I mean, yeah, sometimes it can get very glitchy, and the balancing is a little messy, but I think it has gotten better over time as it went on, and honestly, this is one of my favorite shooters. Even if it's just online only, I still had a ton of fun playing it, especially with how every playstyle is different, which I thought was the best part about it. It's just a really good game, and it's also actually made me somewhat decent at shooters. Before then, I was just absolutely terrible at them, but this actually made me a decent player, so yeah. Doom 2016. This game is amazing. One of the best games on the PS4 in my opinion, and one of the best FPS games in the system. It takes what made the old Doom games so great and breathes new life into it, and also adding some modern touches to it to keep it fresh and not stale. But yeah, this game is amazing. I absolutely enjoyed myself with it. It is tough, but it's fun. It's a game that keeps me coming back for more. Not so for pre-sequel, which didn't make me want to do that, but this one actually made me want to keep coming back and just get better at it. And it also helps that I love the older Doom games, so that was fun. Really good game. I highly recommend checking it out. I've not played Doom Eternal yet, so I cannot bring my thoughts to that. Shadow of Mordor. Really good action RPG in the Middle-earth universe. I had a lot of fun playing it. Good stuff. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. This game is absolutely dreadful. The only reason I even have this is because I got it as a gag gift from my brother. This game sucks. I mean, for one, a lot of what made the series so great in the first place is missing. The goals are not interesting. The gameplay feels really half-baked. The graphics are terrible. The soundtrack's okay, at least, but the creative skater mode is gone. Just everything about it feels so watered down compared to other Tony Hawk games, and it's a real shame. I know Tread and Ride are a lot worse, but this is my least favorite Tony Hawk game by a wide margin because it was basically responsible for killing the franchise completely. Or so I thought, until Pro Skater 1 and 2 actually brought it back, and it was good again. So yeah, but this is a harsh reminder that the series was once horrible after Neversoft left, but thankfully Vicarious Visions has taken over and they actually made it good again, so I'm glad they brought them back. But this game, so bad. I'm just glad the series is back in business and actually doing good so far, so there's something. Uncharted 4. Now, I actually haven't played this game, and the only reason I haven't is because I've not played through Uncharted 3 yet. I've beaten Uncharted 1 and I've beaten Uncharted 2. They were great games, 2 especially. But I have not beaten 3 and I've not played 4. So I really should get around to that soon. But once I do beat Uncharted 3, I will get to 4. Maybe I might do a review on all these. I don't know if I ever will, but who's to say? Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. This game is great. A lot of people might say this is bad. Some say it's really good. Honestly, I love this game. It is amazing. The graphics are amazing. The character interactions make this game feel lively, feel alive anyways. It makes the world come to life, and that's what I really love about this game. The world is expansive. It's very fun to just fuck around in, and there's a lot of stuff to do here. It's just so much fun. The combat system may be a little clunky, but I really enjoyed it for the most part, and I like the story and the cutscenes. Are just a really good game. Although I will say this, when I did beat this game, I beat it just before I got the Royal Edition stuff, or had access to it anyways. So I just basically beat 15 vanilla. I haven't gone to the Royal Edition stuff yet, since they actually did tweak a few things to make the sequence a little different, a little longer or something like that. So I definitely do plan on playing through this again at some point. Just don't know when. But it's a great game. Killzone Shadowfall. Haven't played this yet. Resident Evil 7. I haven't played too much of this yet. I just recently got this, but from what I've played, it's a pretty good game. I enjoyed it. Definitely one of the best RE games to come out in a bit, and I'm glad Capcom has actually picked up the pace of this series after some failed attempts. Mega Man X Legacy Collections 1 and 2. I have wasted a lot of time on a lot of other games, and I have too much to talk about with this one, considering I've actually played through every game on here, so I'll try to keep it a little brief. But it has all eight of the mainline X games, which is great, even though there are a couple of crappy ones here. But the reason the crappy ones are here in the first place is because they're trying to gather all the mainline entries, and I think it was part of their history. So I understand why they're in there, even if they're bad, but still here. But my favorite ones would have to be X1, X2, and X5. I thought X3 was okay. X4, actually no, I loved X4. I thought that was a fantastic game. X6 is only good if you enable cheats, but if you play it raw, it's pretty damn bad. X7 is atrocious, the worst one by far. And X8 is good, but not great. I'd say there was a lot of things they actually did well with the game, but then there were some that I felt were very questionable. But overall, this is a really good collection. Maybe not the most accurate in terms of emulation, but the most accessible one by far, and I would recommend giving this a shot. Soul Calibur 6. I did like this a lot more than 5. I loved 5 before, but when I got this, it kind of made me realize how lackluster 5 is in comparison to this. This one actually does improve upon quite a few things. I mean, for one, most of the characters are back. The characters that were in previous entries, they're back. Like, Talim is back. I don't think Taki was in the last game. But she's here. Who else? Sophitia's back, and so is Cassandra, which is awesome. A lot of the fan favorites are back, which I thought was excellent. I'm glad they brought them back, and the fighting mechanics are just as good as they've ever been. The story is a lot better this time around, although I wasn't really a fan of the character-created one. I thought that was just kind of bland and uninteresting. The character creation mode is a lot better here, but there are a few things I feel like they could have done better. Like, they should have added more new voice clips. I feel they recycled way too much of the old game, which is unfortunate, and they didn't even fix the voice they didn't even fix the changing of the pitch and tone. They still sound very robotic when you do that, but they did at least do better with the accessories and whatnot and all the clothes you can equip your character, and it is more detailed. But I do wish there were a few things they fixed here. There are some parts of it that still feel half-assed, but I will definitely say it's a step up from 5. Medieval. A remake of the PlayStation 1 original. It's a pretty good remake. I like it quite a bit. Although I can't say I like this a little... I can't say I like this better or less than the PS1 game. It is still great. I really did enjoy this one. It's really cheap, too. You can get it for like 20 bucks. Kingdom Hearts 3. This was the first game I ever pre-ordered, and I'm glad I did, because I love this game. It isn't the best entry in the series, not by a long shot, but I still had a lot of fun playing it. The story is pretty ridiculous, like, it gets really dumb and some things don't make sense, but there are some parts about it I did like that do connect. But the gameplay is amazing, and the worlds that you can explore in, there's a lot of great stuff here. I didn't really care for Arendelle all that much, and San Francisco was a little better, but I didn't really have a whole lot of fun exploring it, to be honest, because I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I've actually never seen Big Hero 6. He's never seen Big Hero 6! Blasphemy! Yes, I know what people are gonna say, but honestly, give me time, I will watch it. I just haven't seen it yet. Don't grab your torch and pitchforks. But I didn't have a whole lot of fun exploring that one, but the others, though, like Port Royal, or the Caribbean, anyways, I loved it. I had a lot of fun, even if it was like insanely huge, but it was a lot of fun to explore in. And the theme is great too. I loved Monstropolis. I mean, I love Monsters Inc. That's one of my favorite Pixar movies. It was really good, even though it was kind of short, but it looked amazing here. And the toy box, I would say that's probably my favorite world in this game. And there's also Olympus, which is great, and Kingdom of Corona. I was actually having a lot more fun in there than I thought I would. But yeah, this is a really good game. Even if it's not great all the way through, there are some moments of crap here. I enjoyed my time with this one. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. This one is amazing. I freaking love this collection of games here. I grew up with the Spyro games on the original PlayStation, and I loved them to death. So I'm really glad to see them be remade here. I have been waiting a long time for this, and I'm glad they're brought here. I loved the Spyro 1 remake the most, but the Spyro 2 and 3 remakes were really good as well. However, my favorite Spyro game remains Year of the Dragon. I know a lot of people would say Spyro Red Tail's Rage is better, or even the first game, but I loved Year of the Dragon the most. I had a lot of fun with it. And Year of the Dragon actually did fix a few problems that were present in the PS1 original. So I'm glad to see some of that fixed here. But yeah, it's just a really good collection of games, and they all play beautifully. Not disappointed. Titanfall 2. One of the most underrated and fun FPS games I've played on this system. If you haven't played this, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun. Really cheap, too. I got this for like $8. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Another great collection of games. I didn't grow up on Crash Bandicoot as I did with Spyro, but I still have my fair share of Crash games to play. My favorite one is Warped, but they're all really good here. I've beaten Crash 1 and 2, but I haven't beaten Warped on this one yet. But, hey, it's good stuff. Borderlands 3. I mentioned I loved 2 and 3. But 2 and 3 I like for very different reasons. I loved 2's story, and I did enjoy the combat, but 3 I felt the combat was even better here. However, the biggest problem I have with this game is the story. The story in Borderlands 3 is pretty bad. Like, a lot of the new characters just flat out suck. They're extremely annoying and cringe-inducing, and not really handled all that well like they were in Borderlands 2, unfortunately. However, I love the gameplay. I had a lot of fun playing it. especially with some of the new stuff they added in this game. And I especially love the ultimate attacks that people can use, especially with Moe's using her bear mech. That was so much fun. I really liked it. And there's a lot of interesting stuff you can give a lot of interesting guns and shit you can give your characters too. Just really good stuff. I enjoyed this game, even if the story was a little messed up. Mortal Kombat XL. I have not played 11 yet. I really should get around to it though. But XL though, great game. I had a lot of fun with it. I do like MK9 just a little more, but MKXL does play a little bit better and it does look a little bit better. I think this game still looks fantastic even though 11 has come out, but it's still a really good looking game. I mean, there's a lot of detail in the characters. They look amazing. It's just good stuff. I had a lot of fun with this. The fatalities are even more gruesome than ever. The controls are great. It plays really well. It plays a little differently from MK9, but I still had a blast playing it. And even with some of the DLC characters, it was really fun. So yeah, great game. Tekken 7. This, out of all the Tekken games, I wouldn't say it's my least favorite, but it's not one of my most favorites either. I think Tekken 7 is good, but not great. My biggest problem with this game is that there is so little online content. I mean, not online. There's so little offline content. There's a lot of online content, but the offline content is pretty minimal. There's not that much to do offline. Like, there's just an arcade mode and the treasure mode, and that's really it. Survival mode's gone, team battle mode is gone, and a lot of other shit that made the original so great is gone. Even the arcade mode has been dumbed down to just simply being a straight-up arcade mode and just not allowing you to actually unlock endings, which I found really disappointing. Oh yeah, and there was a story mode too, but I didn't really like the way it was handled too much. At least not in its structure. But it is still a good game. I mean, it still plays like a Tekken game. It's a lot of fun to play. The rage mechanic is really cool. I like that quite a bit. There's still a lot of characters to choose from. Even DLC characters, which I thought the DLC characters were kind of interesting, especially with Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 being in here. The soundtrack, though, it's not good. I don't like the soundtrack in this one at all. I loved Tekken soundtracks before, especially Tekken 3 and 4 soundtrack, but I didn't like this one, but I didn't like this soundtrack. I thought it was just full of nothing but dubstep. They didn't really add in a whole lot of variety this time, and that's kind of what bothered me. I mean, it's not that the fact that you have any dubstep in there is that's not the problem. The problem is that's all it has. It's just all dubstep. That, at least from what I heard, I haven't heard much else. No rock, no hip hop or anything like that. No drum and bass or electronica or techno trance. It's just kind of gone for some reason, but even so, I still do think this game is good, but not the best Tekken entry. Maybe I'm biased, but I've been playing Tekken for a little over 15 years now, so I at least know somewhat of what I'm doing. I can't say I know everything. Gran Turismo Sport. I actually didn't expect to like this game as much as I did. I really enjoyed this. It is more of a spin-off than it is a full-fledged mainline Gran Turismo game, but surprisingly, I enjoyed it. I was having a lot of fun with it. The game is breathtaking, it looks beautiful, it's actually challenging, again, but not like excessively frustrating like GT4 was. It feels more like GT3, and in my personal opinion, that was where it peaked. But it plays well, it looks good. The soundtrack is actually a little bit better this time. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than 5. I never played 6, but 5, in my personal opinion, it was okay, but it was way too freaking easy. But this one brought the challenge of 3 back, and I absolutely loved it. I had a lot of fun playing it. There's plenty of cars to choose from, and it's really interesting that you can actually customize your cars now. That was pretty sweet. It's not the best GT game, but one of my favorites for sure. I love this game. Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition. This game is amazing. I absolutely freaking love this. great open world to explore in, beautiful graphics, great storytelling, great cast of characters, very interesting, very unique game. I love it. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which I also have on the Nintendo Switch, which I will show in a later video. The Nintendo Switch stuff I've got, but yeah, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, fantastic game. This one contains almost every Street Fighter game that's ever been released in the arcades, except for the EX games. They're not here, but the rest of it, great stuff. Well, it has the first Street Fighter, and that's pretty damn bad, but most of it is good stuff, though. It has all the versions of Street Fighter 2, well, at least that were in the arcades. It had from the 90s. It has Street Fighter 2 regular all the way up to Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is great. It has Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3, and it has all iterations of Street Fighter 3, which is great, and especially Third Strike. Although, unfortunately, my copy, for whatever reason, will not play Third Strike anymore. It did before, but now it just won't. But I'm not too upset about that because I have the Switch version, and Third Strike actually works well on my Switch version. But I still keep this one around because it was a birthday gift from a friend and I wanted it, so yeah, I'm not going to just throw that one away. And besides, it's not like I have the same game on the same console, so yeah, I wouldn't consider it a duplicate entirely, but, you know. It's just a great collection of games, though. I highly recommend checking it out. It's not too expensive. It's like $20. Grand Theft Auto 5. This is a premium edition, which contains a bunch of extra stuff. I can't say I'm the biggest GTA fan. I've never been a big fan of the series, but I do play it every now and then. They're decent games. 5 is especially a great game. I had a lot of fun playing it. But I do like the story mode a bit more than I do the online mode. Mainly just because the online mode is only great with friends, but when you play it by yourself, you have to play it constantly, and it's excessively grindy, so yeah. But GTA 5 is still a good game. Nier Automata. Excellent action RPG with hack and slash combat. So much fun. I absolutely love this game. The story is interesting. The world is a lot of fun to explore. The combat is awesome. Just a damn near perfect game on the system. And the music, the music is awesome. Phenomenal stuff. Some of the best I've heard on the PlayStation 4. Good shit. This next one is going to be very controversial considering how heavily anticipated it was and then it got so much shit from people. Cyberpunk 2077. I won't talk too much about this game. It's already been talked about to death. I'll just say I really liked it, glitches and all, and that's all I'm going to say. I love this game, and I do plan to play more of it. So, yeah. And last but simply not least, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I love this game so damn much. It is probably one of my favorite games on the PS4. I love the Metroidvania exploration. I love the graphics. It looks beautiful. The gameplay is a ton of fun. I loved exploring the castle. I probably may have already said that. And it's a lot of fun, honestly. And most of the boss fights, they are a little bit frustrating at times, but they're pretty fun for the most part. I wasn't the biggest fan of the music. I thought it was just okay, but not a lot of it really clicked with me. Some themes were really good. I did like some of the boss fight music. That was kind of cool. But for the most part, I wasn't the biggest fan of the music, but it's not terrible. Eventually it might click into me, but I don't know. But hey, I absolutely love this game. It's just so much fun. I just love it to death. I've almost platinumed this game too. I haven't fully completed it yet, but I'm getting pretty close. All I just need to do is get all the items and I'm set. Anyways, so that is my PS4 collection. I talked a lot about most of these games, so sorry if I wasted anyone's time, but yeah, anyways, that is my PS4 collection. A pretty sizable amount of games here, not the largest collection by a long shot, but a pretty good collection, I'd say. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. See you guys next time. Take care.